Hello and welcome to today's lesson of 3D drawing for your model railway. In today's lesson I'm going to continue working on detailing up the jib here. I'm going to be looking at doing some more of the detail potentially towards the end of the jib up here, but looking for things that would be symmetrical, so sort of looking at more of these bearings. If you look at the photos here, there's a couple of these bearings here that we can be doing, and then we'll be looking to move on from that point. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing the center pulley wheel here. So if we come into Fusion, we look at selecting the crane jib, and then we're going to scroll back to before the mirror object so that everything can be done symmetrically. Now the easiest way to do this is just to draw a simple circle on the back face here. So we could select that surface there and just draw a circle on it, and just turn the runner off. The other one's also not getting confused what we're looking at. Then we just create a circle, sort of find somewhere. Actually, if we turn, let's have a look, see if it's on the canvas, that might be helpful. It is. Although, yeah, it's offset. It's got to be within this hole, unfortunately. So look at this one. It doesn't come out the front. It's right up to the back, but doesn't come out the front. So probably sort of looking at somewhere like that. So if we go for 4mm, does it come out the top as well, top and bottom? Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for about 4mm there. And then select those three profiles and then extrude it. If we turn this round to that surface, we know that's the center of the jib, and then obviously that will then copy across when we go back through the mirror. It will copy across, so we end up with the whole of the pulley. Now this has got some sort of shield over the top. I'm not going to draw the shield, but what I do want is have some sort of cutout on that circle, so that I can run some wires or thread round to make the cables. So if I'm just going to come back into this, I'm just going to change that sketch slightly. So edit the sketch. Let's turn that back around. I'm going to put another circle on the inside. I'm going to go for maybe 3mm. I'm going to leave in that millimeter gap. I may have to go and change this extrusion. I am. Edit that feature. And then profile wise, turn that off. What I want is these profiles. That should go to the center. And then come back into the sketch, select the outer profiles, and I'm just going to extrude these maybe 0.5mm. And once you then turn that sketch off as well, so that you can see that clearly, not all blue lines. Once we then skip forward to the mirror, we've got this recessed area here that we can then thread some cables around. I don't want to put the plate over the top, because I think that would then make it really difficult to be able to thread anything around there. It's something that you could do afterwards with a little bit of plastic card, some 10 cal plastic card just wrapped around the end there. But that gives us that basic pulley shape. I'm not going to go for the detail in the side for these cutouts. Again, I'm just looking for strength. You're not really going to notice them too much on there. So I'm going to be happy with leaving that as it is there. Okay, so looking at the photo now, we've got a couple of lights on the front here. I'm going to ignore those for the moment because they'd be easier to do once we've completely finished all the symmetrical stuff, and that's just done as one complete part. The next thing we're going to do is look at these two bearings we've got again. They look very similar to the two we had up on this top bit here. So I'm going to see if I can copy these down. There's a couple of ways I think I can do this. Either I can copy the sketch for the profile and then paste it on a new sketch here, or I create this as a new, change this to a new body, and then copy the body down to here. So I've got those two options. I'm going to try. I think I might try seeing if I can split these off as new and create them as new bodies, and then move them afterwards. So I'll just turn this profile off, this profile picture off. I'll use the split tool here. So I'm going to split the whole of the crane body. You'll see if I show you the bodies, we've only got one at the moment. If I split the body and then use that profile, we've then got these two as separate bodies. So I then should be able to copy and then paste it. Okay, try again. Body, copy, paste. Okay, there we go. So if we just drag this down here, look at the profile. Probably needs to rotate slightly that way. There's a little bit more upright on the so something like that. Just copy that over quite easy. If we do the other one's in a much higher position. That'd be body 3. Copy that, paste it, and drag that in. So let's have a look again at the photo. Sort of in line with there, yep. Again, angles sharper than that one, good. And the top corner is relatively close to the top surface, so something like that. And then click on OK. So now we've got all of those separate bodies again. Let's just check to see if we've got any more of those bearings anywhere else on the jib before we copy that over. No. That's all of them. So what we can then do is go back into Fusion, do combine. Target body we want to be the main jib. Tool bodies will be the next 4, so bodies 2, 3 to 5. Tell it to join. Oh, of course, yeah. Let's delete that. What we haven't done is place these on the back surface there. As you can see, they're floating. So which ones do we want? 4 and 5. Feature, and then we need to move that inwards slightly. I've got a feeling we might need to rotate them slightly here. There's a gap. Right, that's ever so slightly overlapping. 0.525 is what we move that by. So if we do the same on this one. That needs to come in a little more. That's because this is diagonal. Okay, so 0.59. They should then combine. So again, we're using target bodies tool 1 and tool bodies are the next 4. They should then combine back into 1. Okay, so that's probably the easiest way to have done that. You could have, as I said, you could have gone into the sketch and then copied that sketch over onto these, but you know, I think we've done that in probably a couple of minutes there. It's quite simple. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to look at is symmetrically. There's this little box here. Not entirely sure what it is. A square box that sits on both sides. So we should be able to draw that down here. Now the one thing I want to have is the crane body to make sure it's not interfering. And I'm going to have it offset from the crane body slightly. So I'm going to have it into this area here. To create a sketch on that flat surface. And we'll use rectangle, but we're going to use, we might be able to do 2-point rectangle. Let's do that. 1.2mm square. And see if we can parallel that to that surface. No. Okay. So what we'll then have to do is use a 3-point rectangle. Draw it at an angle like that. We'll parallel that up first to there. That's it. And then we can dimension. On that. Don't want the dimension that's at an angle. That needs to be the same. Like that. See how that's diagonal rather than straight. 1.2. Save that profile. I want that diagonal. Okay, want to try and find the centre point between these two. So if I draw a line like that, that's 90 degrees there. So we can find the midpoint, which is there. The next thing I want is the midpoint on this. So I'm cheating slightly when I draw this. Okay, I want to see if I can select that line like that. And the midpoint of that line on there. Okay, so I've moved it, so that's now 2mm from the end there to here, and then this square sits at the midpoint between the top and the bottom surface. I'll select those 4 profiles and extrude. If I'd done them as construction lines, I wouldn't have to select the 4 profiles, but it's no big deal really. I'm going to extrude those at 0.2, 0.3mm. It's not a particularly thick box. So let's go for 0.3mm on that. Yeah, happy with that. Okay, so the last thing I think that's symmetrical really, if I can find the pictures for it, is the mounting point for here. Get a better picture than that. No. Okay, so let's go back to this one over here then. So that picture there. So we're looking at some sort of triangle coming up, flat surface at the top here, filled in and hollow at the bottom. Okay, so if we have a look, see if it's on the canvas. So we've got its position on the canvas, but it's not drawn on there, unfortunately. And I've just found this photo, which is probably going to be more beneficial. It shows the shape pretty well there. So we've got this triangular shape and then a rectangle sitting on the top. Again, we're going to have to sort of wing the design a little bit because it's not got it on the plan, unfortunately. So we're going to create a sketch on the side profile of the jib, again making sure we're before the mirror so that it's going to be mirrored over. Okay, so if we start at this point here, I'm just going to start by drawing, actually wait a minute, it needs to be lower than that because that point is higher, because that's obviously the midpoint there. So if I start probably here, start that midpoint, I'm going to just come along. See how that's the two little blue lines are showing it's parallel to this surface here. So I'm going to draw that at say 1 millimeter in length, and then I'm going to come down at an angle. Something like this. I don't know if that needs to be any sharp or coming down. Maybe it does. Okay, so let's look at the angle we've got here. So we've got 127. So that would be, obviously 90 is going to be straight down here. So if we go for, let's try looking at 120. Do the same on this side, so that's 120 as well. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy with that. What I'm then going to do is offset that. I'm going to go actually upwards. No. I'm going to go upwards. I'm going to go upwards. I'm going to make it slightly thicker on the bigger side, so minus 0.4 millimeters. And then I'll have to drag that. No, it won't drag. Have to draw a line then, making sure that it's still parallel to that line coming down, and it will snap down to the bottom there. So that essentially is going to be that frame coming up here, and then we can draw a line across here for the cutout. So that line needs to be parallel to this one. I'm going to go for about the midpoint, coming across to the midpoint there. Just lagging a little bit, and then select that profile and that profile. How far in do they go? So they look like they may be 3 or 4 inches wide. Do we want to come across to this surface here? That's the thing. That's the question. Let's have a look. There's the one that looks down the jib. Find that one there. Doesn't show it, unfortunately. I don't think it's going to need to come all the way across. So if we just extrude those, I'm thinking a little bit more, 0.5 might be a little bit thin, just for the strength. No, I'm going to go with 0.5. Tell it to join, click on OK. Okay, so that's given us this. Let's go back to that piece that's closer. So then we've got like a rectangle that comes out of the top that the bearing sits in for the pulley wheel here. So if we just create a sketch on this top surface, the rectangle isn't going to be, I don't look at the picture, it doesn't go, looks like it goes end to end, it's slightly short. So if we create a center point rectangle, find the midpoint on this one. Width, I want to stay the same, I'm just going to go slightly short. So 0.5 on the width and 2 millimeters on the length. And then extrude upwards. And as we come up, that needs to completely encase this area here where the bearing would sit. Yeah, like that. Again, I want that to join. Click on OK. Okay, turn the canvas off so we can see, and we'll skip back past the mirror point. So there's our two mounting points for this arm that sits up here. Okay, so I've had to think about how to fix this. If we delete that extrusion and extrude that sketch and extrude that just the forwards, extrude this forwards just by that 0.3 that we just had. Let's join, and then if we find this one that we've just put in here, which is there, delete that extrusion. What we can then do after the mirror, if we go to loft and then go from that front profile there to that profile there, so it's join, that puts it all in as one straight bar. If I show you the top view, so that's going across straight now. So that's how we get around what we've just done there. So again, we do the same thing, extrude, loft that profile, that profile to join. So we've got those two axles coming across straight. Excellent. That's how we fix that. Easy. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is this tackle coming across here. So a couple of different profiles to look at there. Okay, so first let's look at doing create a sketch. I'm going to use this after the mirror point because I'm going to use the center of the jib to mirror across on. I'll mirror this profile over on. So let's start by doing the draw. Turn the canvas off so you can see what I'm looking at. I'm going to draw a sketch off of that. Not come off there. Draw a sketch of the inside face of what we just drawn there. Let's rotate this round. So now drawing on this side. I'm going to use 3-point rectangle. That profile there. Okay, dimension this up. Height from there to that point there. Got a millimeter there, 2 point. Okay, and then another rectangle. Start on there. It's going to stay on that. That profile's not going to match. I think this needs to rotate more. Let's see, so we've got 2.5 on that and 2.2 on that end. Again, I'm going to want to use a 3-point rectangle. Snap it there and there on that. What we're going to want to come to slightly beyond that bearing. So you can see the angle needs to change on this. I need to rotate it 2.6, see what that does. Yeah, that's the right direction, but too much. 2.55. There we go. But this needs to be higher, maybe, on the bearing. Because that bearing realistically should be up in here. So if we come and change that sketch, that one, so that's moved the whole thing up. We need to try and see if we can squeeze that bearing up a little bit more. If I can get this just inside the top corner here, that's what I'm going to be aiming for. So that's ever so slightly overlapping. Okay, so that's got that inside. Will that put this bearing pretty much where we want it? I can maybe just swing this down a tiny bit on that sketch. Too much. 0.56. Okay, so that's now got that within there. So it's slightly off from the sketch, from the plan, but it's got this within where we want it to be. So if we now select all of these profiles, and then we can extrude them. slightly tell it to join. 1 millimeter is probably way too thick. So we'll go for 0.7. Yep, yes, I think. And then we mirror that feature using, I think it is these top construction lines. Construction plane, I think it's that one. Yes. We mirror it on that construction plane. Okay, so there we go. We've got that drawn there. Okay, so just looking at the profile that we've got here, just need to add some diagonal bracing on there. So I'm going to go back into this sketch we just had. I'm going to put some diagonal lines coming. It's going to do them sort of like. Oops, where's that line come from? So there, find the midpoint. Something like that. To define that. Angle to define from there to there. Let's go 67. I'm just going to extrude those two side profiles. Let's go over that. Cancel that. I'm going to extrude those inwards by 0.7. Might need to come and join those because they're after this extrusion there. Yeah, thought that might happen. Let's do it a different way. Let's now finish that sketch, edit the extrusion, that's the better way to do it, and pick up those two. There we go. That's the better way to do it. Okay, so the next thing we've got to look at is there's a couple of rods that come through here. Go all the way through to the other side. Just think about how the best way to draw that. So let's select on that inner profile. Nope. Finish that sketch. That's not what I want to do. I want to delete that. I'm going to create a sketch on the center plane, which is the plane that runs down the middle of the jib. And then I'm going to draw the circle on that and extrude symmetrically. So the position of that is almost at the very end up here. So we just draw a circle somewhere sort of this position. I'm going to do it obviously over scale so that it's got a little bit of strength. I'm going for 0.7 millimeters. I've got to hold the left mouse button down to get this pop up, and I can select that profile and extrude that symmetrically. I'm just going to bring it slightly through. As you can see on the picture here, it does actually come through slightly. So I'm going to come through, tell it to join, and click on OK. And then there's another one further down. You can't find the photo that shows it. It's just about to see it here. Difficult to see on any of these. There it is. So same for creating a sketch on plane 4 from the top section. And it's about this position here. So again, similar sort of thing. Looking to just do 0.7mm diameter. Hold the mouse button so we can select the profile and then extrude symmetrically. Just popping through its side, let's join and click on OK. Okay, I think I'm going to finish the video there for today. So what we managed to get done is drawn on the end detail here, little box here, and the part of the tackle and derrick here. Skip that to the end so you can see where we're up to at the moment. That jib's really starting to take shape. In the next lesson, I'm going to come back and we're going to start drawing some of the pulley wheels on this shaft here. And yeah, it's starting to look a lot more detailed. We're not far off the end, I wouldn't have thought here. I think we're probably definitely above 75% of the way through here, I would say. We're just going to be adding a few more bits and then looking at some finer details if we can try and add some more detail in where we can. So hopefully you're enjoying this series. If you are, please make sure to hit the like and subscribe button so that you're notified every time there's a new upload. Thanks for watching.